Michael was a whirlwind of energy, a sparkler on the 4th of July. At 8 years old, he should have been outside, playing baseball with his friends, skinning his knees, and dreaming of faraway adventures. But Michael was different. A shadow lurked, a monster under the bed that wasn't just in his imagination. It was a disease, a rare and terrible thing that the doctors called neuroblastoma stage 4. It meant scary words like tumors and chemotherapy, and worst of all, not much time. His parents tried to shield him, their smiles strained, their voices a little too cheerful. They read him stories, built him forts in the living room, and let him eat ice cream for breakfast sometimes. But Michael wasn't fooled. He saw the worry in their eyes, the hushed phone calls, the way they held each other a little tighter at night. Despite everything, Michael clung to life with both hands. He still loved to laugh, to tell silly jokes, to draw pictures of rocket ships blasting off to Mars. He was a fighter, a tiny warrior battling a giant foe. But even warriors get tired. The treatments were harsh, leaving him weak and nauseous. The laughter became less frequent, the rocket ships less vibrant. The doctors, with heavy hearts, delivered the grim news. There was nothing more they could do. The disease was winning. Hope, it seemed, was fading fast. But little did Michael know, a beacon of hope was about to shine brighter than any star, a beacon in the form of a man he admired more than anyone in the world. That man was John F. Kennedy. Michael's room wasn't just a place to sleep. It was a shrine to the president. Posters of JFK adorned the walls, showing him shaking hands, giving speeches, and even sailing on his boat. Books about Kennedy lined the shelves, filled with stories of his courage during World War II and his vision for a better future. But it wasn't just the pictures and books. Michael had Kennedy's speeches memorized. He could recite lines from the inaugural address, his small voice echoing with the same conviction and passion as the president himself. "Ask not what your country can do for you," he would say, pausing for dramatic effect. "Ask what you can do for your country." He even tried to imitate Kennedy's Boston accent, much to the amusement of his parents. He'd say things like, "Pack the CAH in Harvard Yard," and then burst into giggles. For Michael, JFK wasn't just a president. He was a hero, a symbol of hope, a beacon of strength in a world that often seemed dark and unfair. He admired Kennedy's optimism, his belief in the power of the human spirit. He saw in Kennedy a reflection of the kind of person he wanted to be, brave, determined, and always willing to fight for what was right. In his own small way, Michael was fighting his own battle, and he drew strength from the example of his hero, the President of the United States. He often imagined what Kennedy would say to him, what words of encouragement he would offer. Little did he know, he was about to find out. The phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon, shattering the quiet that had settled over the house like a heavy blanket. Michael's mother, Sarah, answered it, her voice already laced with a weariness that belied her years. "Hello?" she said, her tone cautious. A crisp, official voice responded. "Mrs. Miller? This is Agent Thompson with the White House. I'm calling on behalf of President Kennedy." Sarah's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes widening in disbelief. She glanced at her husband, David, who was sitting beside Michael, reading him a story. She waved him over, her face pale. "The President?" she stammered. "President Kennedy?" Agent Thompson confirmed. "Yes, ma'am. President Kennedy has been made aware of Michael's situation, and he would like to pay your family a visit." The room seemed to tilt on its axis. Sarah struggled to find her voice. "Visit? To our house?" "That's correct, Mrs. Miller. We understand this is unexpected, and we want to assure you that we will handle all the arrangements with the utmost discretion. The President wishes to offer his support to Michael and your family." David took the phone, his hand shaking. We don't know what to say. This is an incredible honor." Agent Thompson laid out the details, the date, the time, the security protocols. It all felt surreal, like a scene from a movie. The President of the United States was coming to their humble home, to visit their son. It was a moment that would forever be etched in their memories, a moment that promised a glimmer of hope in the face of despair. As David hung up the phone, he looked at Sarah, tears welling up in his eyes. "He's really coming," he whispered. "Kennedy is really coming." The day of the visit dawned bright and clear, a stark contrast to the storm of emotions swirling inside the Miller household. Nerves fluttered like trapped birds in Sarah's stomach. David, usually so calm and collected, paced the living room, straightening picture frames that were already perfectly aligned. Secret Service agents, serious and impeccably dressed, arrived early, their presence transforming the quiet suburban street into a temporary command center. They swept through the house, checking windows, inspecting closets, and communicating in hushed tones through their earpieces. Michael, oblivious to the security preparations, was propped up in bed, wearing his best pajamas and clutching his favorite stuffed bear, a well-loved teddy named Captain Courageous. Sarah kept fussing over him, smoothing his hair, adjusting his blanket, her movements a flurry of nervous energy. She wanted everything to be perfect, to make a good impression on the president. But more than that, she wanted Michael to feel special, to experience a moment of joy and wonder in the midst of his suffering. The waiting felt like an eternity. Every car that passed, every distant siren, sent a jolt of anticipation through the house. The television was muted, the radio silent. The only sound was the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway, each tick a reminder of the precious time slipping away. Finally, a black limousine pulled up to the curb, its polished surface gleaming in the sunlight. The moment had arrived. President Kennedy was here. A wave of emotion washed over Sarah, a mixture of fear, excitement, and overwhelming gratitude. This was it. This was really happening. The front door opened, and President Kennedy stepped inside, his presence immediately filling the room. He was taller than Michael had imagined, his hair a bit more tousled, but his smile was just as warm and genuine as in the pictures. He extended his hand to Sarah and David, his grip firm and reassuring. "Thank you for welcoming me into your home," he said, his voice carrying that familiar Boston accent. "I've heard so much about Michael." He then turned his attention to Michael, who was watching him with wide, awestruck eyes. Kennedy knelt beside the bed, bringing himself down to Michael's level. "Hello, Michael," he said, his smile widening. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I understand you're quite the expert on space exploration." Michael, usually shy, found his voice. "Yes, sir. I want to be an astronaut when I grow up." Kennedy chuckled. "Well, that's a noble ambition. It takes courage and determination to reach for the stars. I hear you're pretty courageous yourself." They talked about rockets, about the moon, about the possibility of life on other planets. Kennedy listened intently, asking questions and sharing his own fascination with the cosmos. He didn't talk down to Michael, he treated him like an equal, like a fellow explorer. Then, Kennedy asked about Captain Courageous. Michael beamed, holding the bear up proudly. "He's my best friend. He helps me be brave." Kennedy nodded. "We all need a Captain Courageous in our lives, someone to help us through the tough times." He paused, his expression becoming more serious. "I know you've been facing some tough times lately, Michael. And I want you to know that I'm here to help in any way I can." He squeezed Michael's hand gently, his eyes filled with compassion. "You're a fighter, Michael. And I admire that." Turning to Sarah and David, Kennedy asked about the specifics of Michael's illness. "Neuroblastoma, stage 4. Sarah explained, her voice trembling slightly. "The doctors say there's not much they can do." Kennedy listened intently, his brow furrowed with concern. "What treatments has he received?" he inquired, showing a genuine interest in the medical details. David explained the chemotherapy, the radiation, the experimental drugs that had offered fleeting moments of hope before ultimately failing. "Are there any other options?" Kennedy pressed, his gaze unwavering. "Any research being done, any experimental procedures that might offer a chance?" The doctors had mentioned some possibilities, Sarah said, but they were long shots, treatments still in their early stages, with no guarantee of success. And they were incredibly expensive, beyond their reach. Kennedy nodded thoughtfully. I understand, he said. But we can't give up hope. We have to explore every avenue, every possibility. He paused, his eyes gleaming with determination. I want to assemble a team of the best medical minds in the country, to review Michael's case, to explore every potential treatment option. We'll leave no stone unturned. He assured them that he would personally oversee the effort, using all the resources at his disposal to find a solution. He spoke with conviction, his words offering a lifeline in a sea of despair. For the first time in a long time, Sarah and David felt a flicker of hope, a sense that maybe, just maybe, Michael had a chance. The President of the United States was on their side. He was going to fight for their son. Back in Washington, Kennedy wasted no time. He summoned his top advisors, his voice urgent and resolute. I want the best medical minds in this country working on Michael Miller's case, he declared. Money is no object. Resources are no object. We need to find a way to save this boy's life. He contacted leading oncologists, researchers, and specialists from across the nation, urging them to collaborate and share their expertise. He pored over medical journals, research papers, and case studies, immersing himself in the complex details of neuroblastoma. He even consulted with scientists who were exploring cutting-edge therapies, treatments that were still years away from being widely available. Kennedy understood the gravity of the situation, the urgency of the timeline. He knew that time was running out for Michael. He pushed his team relentlessly, demanding progress reports, challenging assumptions, and fostering a spirit of innovation and collaboration. He emphasized the human element, reminding everyone that they were not just dealing with a medical case, but with a young boy, a family, a life full of potential. He shared Michael's story, his love for space, his unwavering courage, inspiring them to work harder, to think outside the box, to push the boundaries of medical science. The White House became a hub of medical innovation, a place where the best and brightest minds were focused on a single, unwavering goal: to find a way to save Michael Miller. Kennedy's personal involvement transformed the effort from a medical consultation into a national priority, a testament to his compassion and his belief in the power of hope. Weeks later, President Kennedy addressed the nation, his voice filled with a mixture of solemnity and hope. My fellow Americans, he began. Today I want to share with you the story of a young boy named Michael Miller. He recounted Michael's battle with neuroblastoma, his courage, his love for space, and his unwavering spirit. He spoke of his visit to Michael's home, his conversation with the boy, and the promise he had made to help him fight for his life. We cannot stand idly by while a child suffers, Kennedy declared. We must do everything in our power to offer hope, to provide a chance for a brighter future. He then announced the creation of a specialized medical team, funded by the federal government, dedicated solely to Michael's case. This team would have access to the most advanced medical technologies, the most innovative therapies, and the most brilliant minds in the country. This is not just about saving one boy's life, Kennedy continued. It's about pushing the boundaries of medical science, about finding new cures, about offering hope to all those who are battling this terrible disease. He acknowledged that the treatment would be experimental, that there were no guarantees of success. But he emphasized the importance of trying, of never giving up hope, of always fighting for what is right. The announcement was met with widespread support and admiration. People across the country were moved by Kennedy's compassion and his commitment to saving Michael's life. Donations poured in, volunteers offered their services, and a wave of hope swept across the nation. Michael Miller, the young boy with a terminal illness, had become a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of the human spirit, and a cause that united the country. Michael became one of the first patients to undergo a revolutionary new treatment called immunotherapy, a process that harnessed the power of his own immune system to fight the cancer cells. The treatment was intense and demanding, pushing Michael to his limits. There were days when he felt weak and nauseous, when the pain was almost unbearable. But he never gave up. He remembered Kennedy's words, his belief in his courage, and he kept fighting, one day at a time. His parents were his constant support, his unwavering anchors in the storm. They sat by his bedside reading him stories, playing his favorite games, and offering words of encouragement. They celebrated every small victory, every moment of improvement, no matter how fleeting. The medical team, led by a brilliant and compassionate oncologist named Dr. Ramirez, worked tirelessly, monitoring Michael's progress, adjusting the treatment as needed, and offering reassurance and hope. They were pioneers, venturing into uncharted territory, pushing the boundaries of medical science. The treatment involved a series of injections, blood transfusions, and scans. Michael had to spend long hours in the hospital, separated from his friends and his normal life. But he found solace in Captain Courageous, who remained his constant companion, and in the letters and cards he received from people all over the country, all wishing him well, all cheering him on. He even received a personal letter from President Kennedy, reminding him to stay strong, to keep fighting, and to never lose hope. The letter was a source of immense comfort and inspiration, a reminder that he was not alone in his battle. A year later, the impossible happened. Michael was in remission. The tumors had shrunk, the cancer cells were disappearing, and his body was healing. The experimental treatment had worked. Michael had defied the odds. He was no longer confined to his bed. He was running, playing, laughing, and dreaming again. He was back in school, catching up with his friends, and planning his future. He was still weak, but he was getting stronger every day. The transformation was remarkable. The pallor had faded from his face, replaced by a healthy glow. His eyes sparkled with renewed energy and enthusiasm. He was like a flower that had been starved of sunlight, finally blooming again in the warmth of hope. Dr. Ramirez, her eyes shining with pride, announced the news to the world. Michael's recovery is a testament to the power of hope, the dedication of the medical team, and the unwavering support of his family and the nation, she declared. President Kennedy, upon hearing the news, was overjoyed. He called Michael personally, his voice filled with emotion. "Michael, this is the best news I've heard in a long time," he said. "You're an inspiration to all of us. You never gave up, and neither did we." He invited Michael and his family to visit the White House again, to celebrate his recovery and to share his story with the world. Michael's recovery was more than just a medical miracle. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that anything is possible, and a testament to the power of compassion and determination. Sitting at his desk, bathed in the afternoon sun, Michael carefully crafted a thank you letter to President Kennedy. He wanted to express his gratitude, his admiration, and his newfound appreciation for life. "Dear President Kennedy," he wrote, his small hand gripping the pen tightly. "Thank you for everything you did for me. Because of you, I'm alive today. I'm feeling much better, and I'm back in school with my friends." He described his dreams of becoming an astronaut, his plans to explore the universe, and his determination to make a difference in the world. He shared his renewed zest for life, his eagerness to learn, and his unwavering belief in the power of hope. "You showed me that anything is possible if you never give up," he wrote. "You taught me the importance of courage, compassion, and fighting for what is right. I will never forget what you did for me, and I promise to live my life in a way that honors your memory." He signed the letter with a flourish, adding a drawing of a rocket ship blasting off to the moon, a symbol of his dreams, his hope, and his gratitude. He carefully folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and addressed it to the White House, Washington, D.C. He knew that President Kennedy was a busy man, but he hoped that he would find the time to read his letter, to know that his efforts had made a difference, to see the impact he had had on a young boy's life. He sealed the envelope with a heart, a small token of his immense gratitude, and entrusted it to the Postal Service, carrying his message of hope and thanks to the President of the United States. In the Oval Office, amidst stacks of paperwork and ringing telephones, President Kennedy sat down to read his mail. A small, handwritten envelope caught his eye. It was addressed in a child's scrawling hand, and in the corner, a small heart was drawn. He recognized the return address immediately, the Miller family. He carefully opened the envelope and unfolded the letter, his heart swelling with anticipation. As he read Michael's words, a smile spread across his face. He was deeply moved by the boy's gratitude, his optimism, and his determination to make a difference. The drawing of the rocket ship touched him deeply, a symbol of Michael's dreams and his unwavering hope for the future. He felt a sense of profound satisfaction, knowing that his actions had played a part in saving this young boy's life, in giving him a chance to fulfill his potential. He thought about all the challenges he faced as president, the weight of the world on his shoulders. But in that moment, reading Michael's letter, he felt a surge of renewed energy, a reminder of why he had chosen to serve, of the importance of fighting for every life, no matter how small. He carefully placed the letter on his desk, a tangible reminder of the power of hope, the importance of compassion, and the profound impact that one person can have on another. He knew that Michael's story would stay with him forever, a source of inspiration and a reminder to never give up on the fight for a better world. He picked up the phone and asked his secretary to schedule a follow-up visit with Michael and his family, eager to see the boy again, to witness firsthand the miracle he had helped to create. Years later, Michael Miller did become an astronaut. He soared into space, fulfilling his childhood dream, carrying with him the memory of President Kennedy's kindness and the lessons he had learned during his battle with cancer. He often looked back at Earth, remembering the president's words about courage, compassion, and the importance of fighting for what is right. And President Kennedy, though his life was tragically cut short, left behind a legacy of hope, a testament to the power of the human spirit, and a reminder that even the smallest of actions can have a profound impact on the lives of others. Michael's story became a beacon of hope for countless families facing similar challenges, a symbol of the extraordinary things that can be achieved when compassion and determination come together. The experimental treatment that had saved Michael's life paved the way for new breakthroughs in cancer research, leading to more effective therapies and saving countless lives. The specialized medical team that Kennedy had assembled continued their work, pushing the boundaries of medical science and offering hope to those who had been told there was none. And so, the story of Michael Miller and President John F. Kennedy became a timeless tale of hope, courage, and the enduring power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, a single act of kindness can spark a revolution of hope, and that even the smallest of lives can have a profound impact on the world. The end.